Alright, now for the fun part, and I say that kind of facetiously because cable management is kind of a pain for, so this big cable right here, this is the one that provides power to the motherboard. So it's a big, got 24 wires coming out of that. So different voltage levels, it's supplying 5 volt, 12 volts, different for different purposes. There's a little connector right here. I know you probably can't see that too well, it's kind of dark, but I'm going to kind of make sure that both sides click in, and both sides are not clicking in. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's clicked in, not coming out. The next most important one is this one right here. And this, again, it will only go one way, so you can't do it wrong. But this, let me get it, is going to supply power to the CPU, which is on the motherboard, yes, but they have a separate connector just for that because CPUs are so, can you see that? So there's 8 pins right there, and that goes way over here. It's always over here in the top corner of the board. They kind of standardized that on almost every computer so you can know where to look. So that's plugged in there. All right, so that one's done. I've got to figure out where we'll figure out how to mount all these cables later on. Now, all of these cables, what are these all for? Well, this one is different than all the others. I know you probably can't see very closely, but this has a group of 6. This, and there's another one right here. This power supply connector is designed for a video card. And when I say a video card, what is a video card? It's a special component. We don't have these in our computers because we don't play games much here at school. But this is for a video card that can really create those high frame rates and high details that you may be familiar with, like Xboxes and PlayStations. We don't need that because we don't use this card. We don't use those cards. In some power supplies, some nicer power supplies we call modular. If you don't need a particular cord, you just unhook it and throw it in a box. This one's not modular, which means they're all connected and you can't disconnect them. So we'll just kind of wrap this up and kind of stick this over here in the corner, and we'll deal with that maybe some other time. We'll find some zip ties and zip all those away. These, which there's 2 of these left, these provide power to drives, like CD-ROMs, hard drives. I could put in, if you notice all these slots right here, this area is all designed for either CD-ROMs or hard drives. And there's actually like a notch down here too. So I may want to put in 2, 3, 4 hard drives, and so this is just giving me different power leads for each of those devices. For example, this one right here has 4, and this one can contain, let's see, 1. These are called SATA. This is just different physical connectors for different types of devices. These are the newer, more modern style. This is for older stuff from 10 years older. So we won't need any of this one because it's for old technology. Again, if we had modular, we could just disconnect them and throw in a box and make all this nice and clean. We do need this for one thing. We don't have CD-ROMs in the computer. In the computer, actually, we don't need them. In fact, most people in their homes are buying computers without CD-ROMs because almost all software is downloaded from the internet. But we do need power to our hard drive down here. So let's see if we can. I don't like the way this case, because it mounted on the very bottom of the case, that means that power supply connector is right on the bottom, so just got to make sure it goes in straight there. Good. The only other cable, so we don't need any of these other cables because they're just for if you have lots of drives, and we don't, so I'm going to kind of tuck those away and we'll zip tie them nice and clean later. The only other cable, well, besides all of these, I'll explain. This is a data cable that basically sends the data from the hard drive to the motherboard. If you notice that we connected with power, so it can turn on, but how does it get data? So that's what this cable is for, and we just simply connect this to, again, only goes in one spot. Well, actually, there's like 6 of those connectors, but they all work the same. That's allowed, you can put 6 drives in your computer, so even though there's more than one, it doesn't matter which one you put it in. Anyone that fits will work. Okay. Now, this is for the more tedious part, minutia of the wires. Okay, this is, first of all, this is USB for the front. So when you plug something into the front of your computer, whether it's headphones or a flash drive, well, that has to somehow get to the motherboard, right, for it to read it. So how does it get from the case? In this case, no pun intended, you see these little USB ports right here? So those are just jacks, and on the other side of that jack is a wire that goes back to this big fat blue cable, and that, again, only goes in one spot. And again, there's a manual that comes with these motherboards, and if you've never built one and want to just read the manual, it'll tell you, plug this into the jack, USB 3, and it'll point you an arrow right to where it goes. So if you're good at following directions in the manual, okay, front USB works. This jack right here, let's see, it says USB on it, so there's more USB ports on the front. They're going to go way over on this side. I just kind of know from experience, where all these jacks go. And it goes, now this one, I know you're not going to be able to see this again, but there's 10 jacks here, but only, actually there's 10, but one of them is filled in with plastic. And the reason they do that is keyed, which means they also have a pin missing down here. And that means if you try to put the plastic where it's filled in, where there's a pin, it won't go in. So they leave a pin open to force you to put it the right direction. Isn't that nice of them? I'm having a hard time seeing, so seeing is always important in a computer build. A lot of times at the store, we have a big light that just hangs over kind of the gooseneck so that we can see. Because a lot of times it's, you're working with a lot of painted black cables. When it's dark, it's hard to see. All right, we have this cable. This is for the sound, the microphone and the headphone jack. Again, everything in the front has to get to the motherboard somehow. So this is the cable that connects to that front jack that provides sound for headphones. So let me find the port. It's, again, from experience, always down here in the bottom corner. But again, it has a pin missing too, but it has a pin missing in a different location. And that means that if you try to put it on the USB connector, it won't go because it'll be a pin in the way. All right, and I think lastly, we're about done here. These are the cables that do the following. This green one has a little green light on the front. That's how you know the computer's on, right? You walk over and see, oh, the green light's on, the computer's on. So that is supplied by this wire right here. This one supplies the hard drive light. The hard drive is another little red light that flickers anytime the drive is being read or written to. Probably more important back years ago when you were worried that your computer was stuck or not doing anything. You could look and see, oh yeah, the hard drive's still flickering. That means something is going on. And then this one, probably the most important in the entire computer, is the power switch. This connects to the button up here, which means when you push that, it shortens these two pins, and that sends a signal to the motherboard that says, turn on the DC power from the power supply. Now I'm going to speed this part up because it's going to take me a minute to find. There's tiny little pins down here in the corner. It's going to take me a minute to plug these in, so I'll probably speed this part up as well, so you don't have to follow along. And in fact, I'm having a hard time even seeing that, but I think, I see it. So power. Actually, I said that back. This is actually the power button because it's labeled. It says power switch. So that's going to go right here. Right here. This one is going to go, again, this one you generally have to look in your book to see because I had in the wrong spot. Yep, I thought I did, so let's fix that. This should actually be over here. I was off. I got some dust on there. There we go. That fits on better. So that means that the power switch goes right here. The hard drive light goes. Now there is a red and white wire, and that's plus and minus. So the manual will tell you which way plus goes and which way minus goes. But again, from experience, it's generally positive is to the left, generally speaking. And if you're wrong, it's okay. It just won't turn on. When you flip it around, try the other way. The reset button, so we can flip the reset button if we have to. Or if you want to play a joke on someone, you can flip these little wires, and every time they try to turn their computer on with the reset or reset it, it'll actually, that one doesn't feel it right. Kind of bent out a little bit. I may have bent that pin earlier a little bit when I put it on the wrong. But that's okay, as long as it doesn't pop off. And where's that little green LED one? Right here. And again, green is generally always to the far left. And that, as soon as I get this wire in, which they pop back out, is basically it. Other than zip tying all these cables so they don't... and generally the reason why zip tie is because if they go into the fans, they may stop the fans from working. And the fans stop working, the computer will overheat. So kind of a... There we go. Now, just to prove that we're not... that we actually made a working computer, we got to make sure this actually... So let's see if I can... let's see. I don't know that... Okay, this may be dizzy for a moment because I'm going to move my camera. So, okay, my camera is now detached from my tripod. Sorry if you're getting dizzy. All right, so we don't need this part of my tripod anymore. All right, so let's go over here and turn this computer on. And my cord won't reach all the way, so let me see how far this will reach before it... Okay, I'm going to set you down for a second. All right, so I'm getting the computer. So this is the computer that we just built. I'm going to plug in. Okay, let me see if I can get you a little bit closer so you can see the monitor. Yep, I think this will reach. All right, so we got the... Okay, as far as connectors, we always have a video card that hooks to the monitor. We have a power connector that gives us power. We have internet that gives us internet. We have a keyboard, which is USB. And for some reason, we had the mouse plugged into the front earlier. It's right here now. We have everything plugged in. So, moment of truth. If you're building a computer for the first time, well, if you are building a computer and you spend a lot of money and time, maybe this is the mouse we use. I'll plug both of them in. One of these mouse works. It's very nervous plugging in your computer the first time because, again, if you forgot to do something, you didn't plug something in right. That's a little dark, isn't it? Let's see if we can brighten that up. Maybe I should have done that the whole time, brighten it up. But okay, power button. Fans are turning. They're thinking about it. All right, we actually have it's powering on and off. I think I may have shortened some of those pins. See if this is what you don't want. It's powering on and powering off. And from experience, sometimes that means that one of the power connectors down here at the bottom is either shorted or not connected right. So let's pull the power cord out. So now we switch over to troubleshooting mode. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to completely disconnect these two. And let's see if that helped any. Oh, I just unplugged the power connector and wondered why the computer didn't turn on. And that would be because I unplugged the power connector. Let's see, that's the power switch. So I'm going to plug in just this one cable. All right, let's see what we got this time. Fans are on, and they're going off. And they're going on, and they're going off. And they're going on. Okay, so another little trick we have is to try it without the power switch. You're like, well, how do you turn it on without a power switch? A little secret here. I wouldn't recommend this, but it is possible. If you take a screwdriver and you can just touch the two pins, and it may be that manual, I have the pins in the wrong spot because I'm just going by memory here. I didn't actually look at a manual. But I'm going to try to see if you can zoom in right there. Can you see that? Let's turn the brightness up even more. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually touch two pins together, hopefully not shorting out any other pins. Can you see that? Okay. Oh, I got my power. Got to plug it in. That's always important to get power. All right. You know what? I'm going to take it off my. I got this on a tripod mount. And that's making it very difficult to actually work with the camera. Okay, now I can hold it like a regular camera. Okay, can you see right down there is where I'm going to connect the. Get that cable out of the way. That's causing a focus right. That one right. Ooh, I see something bent up there. I think I see something bent. Maybe it's my bad eyes. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's touch these. So I touch it, and that turns off too. All right, we have a mystery now to solve. So let's see. Could be short somewhere. I'll tell you what, so not to take you for this long troubleshooting, I will continue looking at it. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's take off all of these cables, and that cable, and this cable. Probably should turn it off before I do all this, but it's still doing the same thing. Okay, well, let me pause it here, and we'll continue to see what's wrong. Okay, just a little update here. We're about 3 or 4 minutes later, and now if you turn it on, I did make a change, and it seems to be helping, but we're not out of the woods yet. As you can see, it is staying on. Success. And now, what change did I make? I removed the RAM, the memory sticks right here. So, we're going to turn the computer back off. Maybe something didn't get seated correctly, which rarely happens. This is not a very common problem to run into with those symptoms, but I'm grounding myself one more time so I can do this with alright, and what we always do is, since there's 2 of them, we can try one at a time. Now there is something, a little speck of dust in the memory socket, so it could be that some dust got into the socket. You probably can't see that, and now I would just drop the memory in there because I was trying to hold the camera at the same time, so that's not good, but it's not that delicate. It's delicate, but it's not that. I think we should be fine. So literally every time I let go of the memory, I ground myself again to try to discharge. So let's try this with 1 piece of memory. All right, so 1 piece is in, power is in. And we're still powered. So let's turn it back off. Let's put the 2nd piece in. I said turn it off. Okay. I should pull the power out. Generally I would, to be more safe, especially if it was a customer's computer. And let's try it. Maybe this piece is bad. Maybe it's just a piece of... There was a little bit of dust I had to blow out of the socket, so it could just be that. And I'm going to go ahead and plug the video card back in. I had unplugged it earlier when I was troubleshooting. You can see that, but not much to see. Because as soon as we have a picture here, we'll be done. And this actually computer is over there. That's number 17 that we're working on. All right, let's see. Both pieces are in. It's staying on. And maybe that wasn't 17. Let's see what computer number is. It says 17. Did I pull the video out? Let's see. I'm just looking over there and I can still see the little error message on the screen. So still not quite booting. And this actually rarely happens. Normally, I think it's because we had some used components here, but normally this fires right up the very first time. One thing you can do is see this little light down here. Let me see. See how it's flickering back and forth? That's trying to give me an error code, so I may be able to look up that pattern on the internet and see what it says about. Oops, something is still not making it boot, which means we don't have a working computer yet, but we're getting closer. It's staying on. That's always important. You can see the fans turning right there. So I'm going to time out the video again so we can continue seeing what the problem is. I don't normally install on these computers for the classroom is, let me turn it off one more time, is this little speaker down here. Okay, this is a little speaker that plugs into the motherboard, and the reason I don't use it is because, well, let's just say students have gotten a rather, they like to make a lot of noises and intentional errors, so I just decided on this computer build, we just leave them off. But I'm going to temporarily hook it up. It goes on, there's a little 4-pin connector. Again, you probably can't see, it's right down there, basically right there between those 2 cords. But what it does, when there's a problem, it actually sounds as a little alarm, giving you a little code that you can, so let's see if we hear anything now. No? Okay, I was hoping it would give me a little error code, so let's see what that little pattern is. looking over there, and I'll be back again. Okay, I'm back again. Still not sure if we've got it fixed or not, but I did learn something very important. The last time I turned on the power, and I followed the video cable back, and this is what I found. Not plugged in anything. So just so you know, that's a very important thing to check. So let's see. I thought it was that computer over there, but maybe it's not. Let's try to plug it in. Sorry if that's a bad camera angle at the moment. Let's try to plug it into this computer right here, which I think is where it goes, right in front of me. It could be that it's been booting all along, didn't have the cable plugged in. Oops. So let's see what we got right here. Okay, let's plug the keyboard and mouse in. It could have gone to sleep. Don't think it did, but let's gotta rule out every possibility. Okay, so still, but hey, at least we have the right monitor. That's always a progress. Okay, next update. We have had progress. Basically, I removed one of the pieces of memory. If you can see down there, there's only one slot of memory in there. And now when I turn it on, it stays on. And if we look over at the screen, it boots. So, boots to the BIOS. So, something is up with this memory. I pulled this piece out here, so I'll keep trying to figure out why it's not booting with that second piece in there. But again, it felt like there was some dust, kind of dusty, so something may not have been making contact with those pins. So we'll keep looking at it, getting progress. All right, last update for the evening. We'll probably stop here. Here's what I've concluded: putting the two pieces back in, no boot. I swapped the two pieces, meaning the one that was suspect. I actually swapped and took the one that was working out and put the one that's suspect in the same spot, and it worked fine. Anytime there's a piece in this slot, it just doesn't work. So, see, watch this. If I take this out, so it looks like something may have gone wrong with this one slot, which rarely happens, but it's possible. Something, so turning it back on, and you can see it turns blue, and it boots right, going to go boot right into Windows probably. So what we can do long term, for now I'm going to leave it with 4 gigs of RAM, which is not ideal. And then down the road I can go ahead and purchase an 8 gig piece of RAM and put it in its place. Instead of having 2 4s, 1 8 will still give us 8 gigs of RAM. And now we're booting into Windows here. So that took a little bit longer than I expected, but that's basically building a computer. Now, I didn't tidy it up. I would have zip-tied all the cables and pulled the extra ones down below and made it very nice and neat and made sure all the airflow can go through there. But since we had all that extra time tonight, I'm not going to take the time tonight to do that, and you get the idea anyway. So basically, computer build is case, power supply, CPU fan, motherboard, hard drive. Some people use a video card for games. Some people have a CD-ROM, DVD. The rest of it's just cables and connecting. So hopefully that helped make sense of what it's like to build a computer. It's really not that difficult. Of course, there's some troubleshooting when something goes wrong, but generally it works every time, and you don't have the problem we had. And it's just you turn it on and you actually start installing Windows and you start playing games and browsing the internet. But that is a computer build from a computer lab PC that we had here, and we'll fix the memory problem. But that's it for tonight. That is a working computer built from scratch that you saw all the process, and that's it for this video.